from the Sinister District and the great beyond. Good evening, everyone, everything, and all creatures of the night. I am Michael Ball, alongside Mr. Curbs. Tonight, our special guest Sheri talks about her encounter with the Lion Man. Stay right where you are. You're listening to the Sinister District. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sinister District. I am Michael Paul, alongside Mr. Curbs and our special guest today, Sheri. Sheri's going to talk to us all about her encounter with a lion man. Apparently, she was just strolling and she looked through a window and she saw a lion in a business suit. Now, we've had a lot of weird encounters on the show, but I think this might be the top of the mountain there. I've never heard something quite like this one, so please welcome Sheri. She's going to talk to us all about this encounter, and yeah.
I will. I lived in a weird area. It was initially row housing made for army people who were married, okay? And so then it ended up being low-income rentals, which was perfect because I couldn't find a place where I could rent and have a dog. And it is close to the airport in the city, and there's also it's a business area. It's just kind of stuck in the middle of the business area. And it was a really cold night in the late 90s, or late 80s, early 90s. And it was a Sunday, and it was freezing in Canada. It gets really cold. And I felt guilty because I hadn't been doing anything with my dog, and I was restless, so we went for a walk. And when you walk out of the row housing, there's an alley, and then there's a bunch of office buildings right down the alley. And I was walking down the alley with Max, and I noticed that there was a light on a ground
Max
office
is
building. Which
your
was
dog,
odd.
I'm guessing?
Yeah, Max was my dog. And it was late. It was after 10 p.m. I think somewhere between 10 and midnight. And I thought it was very odd on a Sunday for the light to be on. So as I walked by, I looked, and I couldn't frickin' believe what I saw. I saw a man doing office work, and he was in a business attire, but he had a lion head. And so I walked by and I stopped and I thought, what the hell? And so I blinked my eyes a bunch, and then I thought I got to walk by again. So I turned and I walked by again, and I looked. I saw the exact same thing. So I went to the other side, and I thought, this is crazy. I must be seeing things. I just couldn't get my head around it, eh?
I wouldn't believe
So
that
I went
either.
and walked again. And this time I walked a little slower, and he was doing filing. And I really looked like he was wearing a white, like a dress shirt and black trousers. I think he had black shoes on. I can't remember. I might have just added that because he was in business suit. But he had a lion head, like a big mane, kind of that golden tawny, the broad nose. It was just a lion mane. And he was acting absolutely normal, doing office work. And then I walked by, I finished walking by, and I thought, okay, he must be wearing a mask. And then I thought, why would he be wearing a costume? So I had to go look again. And I looked very carefully. Remember, he couldn't see out as easy as I could see in, right? I didn't realize that because I really felt like I didn't want him to know that I was walking by and looking at him. I really strongly felt that. So I looked again, and it was a lion head. That's all I can say. My heart was beating like 100 miles an hour. I felt scared because it was just too out there. And when I walked by the final time, I looked, and he was walking around the office, putting papers away. Looked like he was filing. Back then, people did a lot with paper. It wasn't all on computer. There was no computer. And so then when I walked by, I thought to myself, well, the only thing I can come up with, it is a hideously deformed man who can only work at night because he scares people. But it was a lion head, plain and simple.
Now,
And it's
did you...
I have a hard time. Anybody I told about this to, they just laughed at me and said I was insane. But you know what?
Well,
It was a lion head.
They always are going to say that. But look, did
Yeah.
you see any other things of a lion, like a tail or anything?
No, no, I did not see a tail at all. He was wearing black dress trousers. He was probably only about 5'9", maybe 10. I'm 5'9", so like he was about 5'9" or 10, and he was very slim build, like and not really broad shouldered or anything. He was on the slight side, and he slender, and he had this white shirt on and these black pants, no tail coming out of it. He was totally unconcerned with what he was doing, like he was just doing his thing, not acting, or you know what I mean? He was just
Hmm.
taking care of his office work. But it was after 10 at night on a Sunday. It was late. It could have been, like I said, between 10 and 12. I can't even remember. And no, he was just doing his thing. And I think that incongruity is what made it even stranger and kind of more frightening in a way.
Wow.
Now, did it have like human hands? Like
Yes.
yeah, so
Yes.
it had human hands, but just the line.
Yeah. The
Okay.
only thing that was a line was his head. And his head was big. It was like but he had such a mane you couldn't see the neck, but it was like it was bigger. It was slightly bigger than a human head would be, but mind you, there was a mane, like it had a full tilt mane, ears,
Right.
the broad nose, a broad line nose. I'm an animal person. I love
Mhm.
animals, and like it had that broad line nose and the curled up like a cat mouth, but he wasn't talking or anything, so I didn't see much movement of his mouth, but I did see like his eyes kind of, when he's looking at the papers, kind of move. You know what I mean?
So
And his
so you
eyes,
could kind of tell that like it wasn't a mask because it had like
yeah,
eye movements and stuff.
yeah. And I thought, when I was sitting there, like this took a bit of time because I was trying to rationalize it. And I thought, well, why would somebody be wearing a lion helmet, costume all by himself on a Sunday night, late at night? Like, what's his game? So when I went to look again, I kind of paused a bit to see if I could see if it wasn't a mask, and I did see like eye movement, and it
Right.
and it I didn't see eye holes. You know what I mean? Like you would have to see eye holes. I saw like when he was reading
Yeah.
his filing papers, his eyes would kind of move, and I I think I kind of saw him scrunch up, like if he was, when you read something and you don't kind of understand what it is or you're thinking
Hmm.
about it, kind of scrunch a bit. It scrunched. That's all I can say. My dog was oblivious. Like he didn't act weird about it or anything.
So he was just like doing like just like normal, I guess, like stuff you do in like a business office, like filing paper and like
Yeah.
things
Yeah, he
things of that
was.
sort.
Yeah, just kind of
That's
walking between his desk. I never saw him sit down. He would walk between his desk and the filing cabinet, which was across the room about seven seven feet or so, like away from his desk. He had to walk about 7 feet to the filing cabinet, and then on one of the walks back, he'd be over by the desk. And then as I sat there trying to like pinching myself and blinking my eyes and thinking like what's going on here, and then going look again, then he'd be in a different spot in the office. So he's kind of walking around. It was a small office.
was there like anyone else like visible in the office, or is he like the only guy? He was the only guy
He was the
working.
only guy. That's why I came like up with that theory to calm me and kind of rationalize it, that he was a hideously deformed man who had to work at night. When I thought about it later, at the time, that kind of gave me some rational explanation so I could kind of like carry on. But later thinking about it, I thought, well, that's pretty lame too, because he
Mhm.
didn't look like he was a lion head. It wasn't like he was deformed, like in the movies you see somebody who's hideously deformed or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, he wasn't like that. I mean, it was a good looking lion, like it was a lion. And so that's what was so crazy about it. And so then I started doing a deep dive in the internet, of course, saying, did anybody else ever see a lion man? And only one person ever said that they saw a lion man, and it was striking. um it was on a paranormal site, actually. I didn't even think to look it up. But he said that he was going into an apartment building one time, and there was a lineman when he's going up the stairs who's in the area waiting to go up the next flight, but he didn't. The guy passed him, and he said that it was a lineman, and he turned around and he looked at him, and the And the guy said something to him that I can't remember, and that he kept walking up to the apartment. And that's the only thing I've ever had anything close to what I saw. But he said he saw a lion man and that he had human clothes from the neck down and a lion head. That was the closest. And then, of course, people bring up those lion statues. I think I saw an image, but it was nothing like that. Like the head of that lion statue, the head's not big enough, not maned enough. The head isn't lion enough, is what I saw from that statue. And then the body would have been just human. So there you go.
Do you know if like this person who also saw Lion Man is like near your area? Like would have been like
No, he wasn't. He was in the US. So I live in Canada, Saskatchewan. And like the thing is that I don't know, there's so many offices and stuff. So like the next day, or maybe a day or so later, I went by in the daylight to look, and I just couldn't see anything like abnormal. I couldn't even see into the office as well because it was daylight, but I never, for the rest of the time I lived there, I would always look at that office building at night, and I never saw the light go on again. I never saw it lit up again at night. Just that one time. And it may have been lit up before, but I wasn't walking my dog late at night, and I never saw it again. I always kept my eye on that because I lived there for 2 or 3 years after the sighting. I moved out in about, I'm going to say 92. And so from, 89 to 92, when I was living there, I always kept my eye on that. Never saw anything ever after that.
Well, I did a little, I guess, like Googling or like, a little bit of research, and I found out that there's this sort of disease called like congenital let me read it. Congenital hypertrichosis that causes someone to like grow hair that looks similar to a lion. I just sent an image of it. Apparently there was like a famous like circus performer dude called like the Lion Man.
I'm familiar with that, and I actually looked at that, and like they used to be called like werewolves, like at the wolfmen and everything at circuses and stuff, and it's a real thing. Usually the people that were most afflicted were like from Mexico and those parts of the world seem to have a higher predilection for that rare genetic disorder. But you know what? I've seen those faces and I've looked them up, and I saw those faces before I even saw the Lion Man, because I've always been interested in the odd and unusual, and it was not like that at all. It did not look the same as that at all.
So it looked like exactly like a lion.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me. Like if I would have seen somebody with that particular genetic thing, I knew about it before, so I would have recognized it. And, even after I saw the Lion Man, I went and looked at it again, just, pictures and stuff. And no, it's not like that at all. Not even at all. The reason being is that it didn't have a human mouth or nose. And those guys have a human mouth and nose that's just covered with hair, right?
Yeah.
It was that I think was the defining thing, is that the wide nose and the mouth not being human.
So you've gone into like you've gone back to the place like maybe around like a similar time, like Sunday 10 p.m. to see if he was ever like working there again?
Yeah.
Or
very close to it. I could see it out my if I stood on my back porch and looked, I could see that window. That's how close it was.
But you never saw anything else in there.
Never saw anything again. And it was just an unusual time for me to even walk my dog, to be honest. Like I never usually walk my dog that late at night. It was just like I felt that I hadn't been, spending enough time with them, or that he'd been pulled up in the house too long. He's a border collie. And I thought, well, I should do this. But that was not typical of me. It's not like I was out there late at night when it's minus 30 walking my dog. So that's a little odd little bit too. Oh, and one interesting thing, when I did look up and I did that since we talked, because I was talking, or since we communicated, because I was talking to somebody about it, and they said, "Isn't that an aerospace offices?" And I says, "Way back in the 80s?" And they says, "I think so." And so I did go drive by again, and it does have something to do with aerospace. That was interesting, way after the fact, but yeah. And like the airport is like a minute away by car, our national airport. And then we've got that whole area used to be for the army, right? So they have army buildings. I don't know if that means anything, but it was an aero something offices. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. It's a thing that I think about a lot, and occasionally I'll get all pepped up to research it again, and I just come up with the same old stuff that I've come up with since the late 80s, early 90s. It's always the same thing, never what I saw. The only exciting thing was that guy who said that he saw something similar, and it really had no, it was meaningless as mine. You know what I mean? Like nothing untoward happened. He just saw a guy standing there at the line head, and he kept walking. He said it freaked him right out, but he felt that he shouldn't talk to him. I remember him saying that he shouldn't say anything, but he wanted to. And at the time, um, I was afraid to have him look at me. Like I was worried that he could see me, and then I realized that I could see in when it's pitch black outside much easier than he could see out, eh? But I was still afraid to have him look at me, like
I mean,
really
yeah,
afraid.
it
Yeah,
looks like
like
a
I was
lion. I
terrified.
mean, it's pretty creepy looking.
And it was so unnormal, is all I can say. And
Right.
I couldn't rationalize anything. It was scary, how I was trying to grasp onto something to make it make sense. And I think that's what made it stay in my mind so long. And so few people have ever, you get things where people, oh, yeah, I saw that, I saw that, whether it's true or not, they saw it. But the lion head, the only guy that ever did was some guy in the States somewhere. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I find that incredibly unique because a lot of the encounters that we've heard about or have interviewed people about, it's usually like something like they see staring at them or is like doing something kind of creepy or whatever.
Yeah,
But this guy's just doing paperwork. This guy's just
I
working a nine
know.
to five.
That incongruity. That is the thing that made it even weirder. And then, like, him working late at night like that, like, why? And like, if you are a
Mhm.
lineman, let's just say, okay, you're a lineman. Why are you doing this at 11 o'clock at night or something? Why? So it has so many unanswered questions, and it's just so bizarre. And I don't tell too many people anymore because I would be just laughed at. My kids, had
Right.
my boys were there when I told them. They were just about rolling on the floor with laughter. It was so, and I was trying to say, no, I saw this. Oh, they just thought it was like crazy or something. I don't know. Like, it was like, I don't know what they thought. They just thought I was just being ridiculous. They thought I just missaw what I saw. But I made a point. I passed that window, went back and forth several times to try to, make sense of it.
Now, what do you think it was when you saw it? What was your explanation in your head?
I didn't have one. That's why I came up with it. He was hideously deformed and so badly so that he had to work at night. But like I said to you guys, he didn't really look deformed. He just looked unnatural that he should have a lion head. You know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
was clean cut. Like he was clean cut, and the lion's head was like clean cut. Like it was like groomed, kind of. It was like not all wild and bushy and strange. It was like he was a first class lion man. That sticks in my head. The cleanliness of everything. Like that is so normal. Like there's nothing abnormal except that man had a lion head.
Plus, never come back to work. Like you never saw him working again. So
I
if he,
never
even if he
remember.
He
was
quit
an
after that day.
employee,
Yeah.
quit.
Then I thought to myself, okay, somebody's pranking. Like, you have to think,
Mhm.
well, how did they know I was going to be out there? And
Exactly. Like
like,
who's the who's the audience for that prank?
who's the audience? And like, it was an area that there's very, very, there was just the row houses, and like everything else was usually shut by 6 o'clock because it's a business center, right? Tons of businesses and office buildings. And yeah. So it wasn't like he was going to get a good audience at that time of night.
All right, so I have
So
to
yeah,
ask.
you
I
know,
mean,
yeah,
any alcohol, any drugs, anything?
n- nothing, absolutely
Nothing.
nothing. So I was sober as could be.
Apparently, in
And
ancient Egyptian mythology, there are gods with lion heads and human bodies, and in some
I was
African
actually just
folklore, there's lion
yeah.
men. So,
There's actually I was going to mention that because in my research I came up with that, and actually there's something in the Bible about lion-headed men, warriors.
That's interesting.
That I thought so too, and I came up with that like somewhere in the years in between about that they were mentioned in the Bible. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
the significance would be. Like
Yeah,
why
I
was he
mean,
in there?
I've never really heard about like, lion men until now, but just after doing like a quick bit of research, it doesn't seem like, it's like something that's like completely like unknown. Like there seems to be like some information about it, which, I've never really heard about anything like this before, so.
Yeah, I've heard like in my research, people saw dog-headed people,
Mhm.
and I came across more dog-headed people, but this was s- definitely a lion and a male lion. You know that statue that you showed a picture of, the
Mhm.
ancient statue? That to
yes.
me looks like more like a female lion because it's missing the mane and the head
Right.
is kind of smaller. But this was definitely a male lion because it had the mane.
Ap-
So yeah, I don't know.
Apparently,
I should have
shape.
knocked on the window, but I was scared poopless, to be honest.
Well, I don't know if you should have done that, but uh, apparently,
I'm brave, I could have.
shape-shifting lion human beings were connected to witchcraft or spirits in African folklore. I mean, maybe,
Did you read something about that?
yeah. I mean, or that could
Oh,
just be fake. Who knows?
It's
Not
a
reliable
but you
source.
have
source.
to ask yourself.
Source, I
You have
made it
to ask.
up.
You have to ask yourself this: why would some shape-shifting witchcraft person be doing that in an office by themselves with no audience? You know what I
Witch,
mean?
Well, maybe their time
witch,
was up. Maybe
witch,
they,
Yeah.
witchcraft don't sell like it used to. They gotta get office jobs now.
But maybe they did some big ceremony and he was just doing the final paperwork. I mean, I don't know.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, I have no idea. It's very weird, and I never had an explanation for it. Other than to say that whole area always had a weird vibe, and it's not just me saying that. It was called McNabb Park in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. You could look it up if it's got stuff about it. It used to be army barracks for families. It's always had a weird vibe there. I knew that before I even moved in, and I was willing to go for it because I could afford it for my dog. And that's why we're there, in the middle of nowhere in weirdness.
Any other weird sightings from neighbors or friends, family?
Nobody ever mentioned anything like that. No. It was like a kind of a rough area. There's lots of petty crime people, I would say. Like, like sort of like trailer park people, but they lived in row housing.
Hmm.
That's kind of like the
So yeah,
neighbors.
like
And yeah,
nobody else saw anything, like strange coming from that building.
no, nobody ever did. Mind you, to be honest, I didn't go blabbing all over the neighborhood because I didn't get much feedback, positive feedback from my family and friends. And my friends laughed at me too, and they just refused to believe it. But you know, I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
If only had like a camera on you.
Oh, if it would have been the cell phone days, right?
Yeah.
Then no cell phones back then. That would have been, I would have taken a picture. I would have, because they wouldn't even be able to see me take it. In retrospect, for my own mental health, I really do wish I would have had the guts to knock on the window or something and just see what reaction I would have got. But to be honest, I was like, I can be all blasé about it now, but it was terrifying at the time. Terrifying. Out there alone in the dark, and I see this. It was terrifying.
If you'd like to talk to Michael Paul or Mr. Curbs, shoot an email to thesinisterdistrict@gmail.com. That's thesinisterdistrict@gmail.com. You can also join the Sinister District Discord server in the description. This is the Sinister District.
It would be interesting to me if more people had seen, like when I was looking at all sorts of sites, it would have been, I think I would have felt better if more people would have seen it so I knew it was a thing, but it doesn't seem like it really was a thing. And the behavior of this lineman was just so everyday normal, except you're a lion-headed man. Like that, I think that's the thing that gets me the most. Even if I
Yeah.
would have seen a tail, I think I would have been more inclined to think it's a costume of some kind. Unless the tail was moving by itself, who knows? But it was the eyes when it was like looking at the paper. I've seen people in costume, and you can never. The eyes always are the giveaway, right? Because they're behind a costume and their eyes are peering through, and they don't have like the muscles that show on the eyes that this did. And the eyes they didn't look human either. They're more like cat-like. But as they looked, they focused on the paper and they had expression on the face.
Was it like diamond-shaped eyes, like cats? I don't really know what lion eyes look like. Let me see.
Well,
Oh, it's kind of like a circle, just like a human. It's not like a
yeah,
diamond.
well, kind of, but they're bigger than human eyes, right? In
Right.
a lion. Yeah, and these eyes were bigger than a human's eyes would be. But like, think of a lion that's gonna hunt, and it focuses on its prey, and then and its face kind of, the eyes kind of crunch up like it's gonna, like it's thinking of hunting. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Like they don't have a blank face when they hunt. They're looking at the prey, and then their face kind of tightens, and they get like a focus in between their eyes, kind of, hey? And that's what this thing had. It had like that focus. It wasn't just a blank space. It was like it was focusing on the papers of whatever it was reading. And I could see that the muscles were moving between the eyes and just kind of above.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Curbs, what do you think this is, man? Theories?
Actually, I have no clue on this one.
Robot?
Robot.
No.
I have no clue. It's a lion trying to make an earnest living.
like, robot it couldn't be because the movements were so fluid and natural. And
Yeah,
I think
especially
back
for
in
the time, especially for the time period.
late 90s, I don't think it was a lion. It was a good thing you pointed out. It did not have lion hands. It had human hands. Small, like they were white. Like I thought they were quite white.
Now, this wasn't a dream.
Yeah. No, it was not a dream. I was walking along, and I remember I told my kids when I got home, and they laughed at me. And it was really, really cold out.
Mm.
So I was not dreaming. I walked into the house, and I was pretty excited, very scared, a little hyper from what I saw. And I said, "Hey, I saw, this is what I saw." And they just looked at me and laughed. They said, "Yo, you did not. He was wearing a costume." I said, "No, he wasn't." "Oh, yes, he was." Then I did the argument. "Why would he be wearing a costume? Blah, blah, blah." And they just said, "No, he's wearing a costume." They just refused to believe me. So,
And this is the only weird thing that you've ever seen. Like, this is just the only one.
Like,
yeah,
like
had
paranormal ones?
I had an experience in my youth on two separate occasions, two separate groups of people. First group was my girlfriends, second group were my cousins, where we saw these scrabbling humanoid hands under the kitchen door that leads down to the back door into the family room. And it wasn't raccoons or anything, because when I whipped the door open, there's nothing there. And we saw these a year apart during the day, wasn't night. We weren't talking about anything scary, and everybody screamed. It was scary, scrabbling back and forth under the door. And I just whipped open the door, and there was nothing there. So that's the only
But-
other thing, which is weird enough. And I've written about that one because that one I had like 3 other girlfriends were with me the first time, and the second time was me, my little brother, and 2 cousins. And that was about a year apart. About the same time of year. It was like August, late August.
Right.
So yeah, I can't deny that. That is a weird one. And I've looked that one up everywhere and came up with absolutely nothing. And that was in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. That wasn't in Saskatoon.
And what time of the year was the Lionhead one?
January, probably mid to late January. And it was like minus 30 out there when I went for the walk. It was freezing.
And the hands were just what? Human hands?
They were small. They're the size of a spider monkey, but they had jointed fingers with wiry hair on them.
Ugh.
And fingernails that were dirty. It had everybody screaming.
And all your
And
friends saw it.
and I had to, they're screaming, "What's that? What's that?" And I just felt like I had to calm them down. So I just whipped the door open and see, I should have knocked on the window because I could be very brave, but whipped the door open, nothing was there. So even my ex, he said that it must have been raccoons. Well, we would know if raccoons were in our house. I know somebody who at the lake got raccoons in their cottage and they destroyed it. Like, we would know there'd be poop, something broken. You know what I mean?
Do you
It was
think?
not
Yeah.
raccoons.
Do you think somebody pranked you? Maybe they had a fake hand or something.
How'd they get in the house though? It was locked.
I don't know. Maybe a parent.
And it wasn't just one hand. It was 2 pairs of hands, and we saw them from up into the forearms. You couldn't see the elbow joint, but they were from the forearms to the hand. And yeah, that was
So nobody could have been there to do it. Your mom, no one.
well, no, my parents weren't at the house at all. And when we whipped open the door, there was nothing there. I mean, like, it was scrabbling 1 millisecond, and the next second the door's open, there's nothing
It was
there.
just too quick for them to get away. You're saying too quick.
Well, they were scrabbling right up, like the others are watching it scrabble right until I opened the door. Yeah. It's not like it stopped and I opened the door, or that, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
they were scrabbling when I opened the door, and people were screaming and looking at it. So somebody said that it was a mass hallucination. I maybe that's a thing. I don't know why we'd hallucinate that out of the blue.
Yeah, that is weird.
But yeah. And then there's a name of these weird little Aboriginal creatures. I don't think it's them. I don't believe in any of that stuff. So, and I don't believe in it. So that's the other thing that I find odd, and why I was subject to it twice in my life like that. Weird.
Yeah.
Very strange.
And the little hands was the daytime. We're sitting in the kitchen just chatting about nothing to do with scary things. You know what I mean? And I did have a dog and cat. My dog was with my mom and dad at the lake, and the cat was in the house, and wasn't the cat, but it was, I don't know. I have no idea what that is. I've just no explanation. Like, people, they'd have to run away down the stairs or out the door, and the door was locked. Everything was cool. So I don't know. My little brother still remembers it very clearly. Strangely, almost everybody but my little brother and the one girl have all passed away. Everybody who saw that, the only survivors are my little brother and one of my friends. Everybody else passed away. Oh no, Kelly too. So there's 3 people out of about a group of 7 are gone, and three of the 7 have survived, but 4 were gone like young. They died young.
Well, that's tragic.
Yeah, sad cancer and hepatitis C one person had. Yeah, and cancer was the main culprit. So yeah. Anyway, if you guys ever have anybody who hears this,
Please email us. Send us photos.
yes, if they have anything similar, like the lion-headed creature or like little freaky hands scrabbling under
Freaky
the
hands, right.
door. Yeah, little small. Whenever I look it up, they always do the hairy hands out of England or something. No, this was like small. Think of if they were, what do you call those little, like gnomes. Think of it if they were like a gnome or something. You know what I mean? Like a little gnome's hands would be like that, eh? And the hair on them wasn't fur. It was like, closest thing I could think of what that hair looked like is either whiskers like on a face or pubic hair. It was wiry and curly like that, and sparse, not a lot of it.
So please, if you guys see any hands with pubic hair, please send us an email, and we'll get back to you.
Or any lion-headed men, well dressed.
From the Sinister District and the great beyond, thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the strangest monsters aren't the ones hiding in the dark, but the ones calmly working beside the road with a lion head in a suit.
That was
That was good.
Good night.